Hello and welcome to the Workplace Experience podcast, proudly brought to you by Workplace Services Australia, your leading workplace strategy, change management, workplace culture and workplace services partner. My name is Bly Williams. I'm a senior flexible working strategist and workplace culture audit expert at Workplace Services Australia. This is the 8th episode of the Workplace Experience podcast. Today, we'll be talking about what a great tool the Workplace Standard Guidelines and Protocol document can be. It sets the framework and the parameters, not just for your workplace projects, but also for business leaders and people managers in regards to their business as usual workplace requests. Over the last decade, this document has often been referred to as the kit of parts. This is because it deals with every part of the built environment regarding the workplace. And over time, the workplace has become such a more integrated environment. Not just carpet, not just paint, and not just furniture. Let's take a step back in time. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, many organisations in both the public and the private sector had their own workplace standards document. On the advent of ABW, into this standard document was the introduction of protocols and policies as the way people worked and used the environment changed significantly. This was surprisingly led by the public sector. We will now need to define the terms standards, guidelines, protocols and policies later in this podcast. These definitions are very important. Standards and policies tend to have a HR implication, while guidelines and protocols could best be described as recommendations. Organisations should continue to look at this document as their kit of parts, particularly post-COVID. It should be used as a measuring stick to control what is often rogue behaviour by team leaders because they have an immediate accommodation requirement that needs to be resolved at any cost. The cost historically used to be functionality of part of the workplace design, such as foregoing collaboration space for extra desks, which often diluted the significance of the ABW environment, and more importantly, how practical it was. But now, the cost is so much more. It equates to non-compliance in regards to social distancing during peak pandemic periods, health risks, which increase the probability of the spread of viral disease. Let's not forget losing the agility out of the workplace design for all users of the workspace, not just one team or a small minority of individual occupiers. Don't get me wrong, I don't believe that this behaviour by some team members is intentional. It's just a commercial reality. But there needs to be some education, and this tool provides a step towards that education, that your facilities management team, your workplace specialists can properly guide these team leaders to the solution that they need that is compliant for all the business. Now, let's move on to the definitions. So let's look at the standards. This is something that is often repeatable, harmonised, agreed, and documented in a way of doing something. Standards often contain technical specifications or other precise criteria designed to be used consistently as a rule or a definition. Policies, a set of ideas or a plan of what to do in a particular situation that has been agreed to officially by a group. They can be enforceable by an organisation's governing body. The agreement by the group, defined under the definition of policies, should be a cross-section from your organisation, such as certain business leaders, HR, your real estate and facilities representatives. The standards and the policies are two principles that are implemented to protect people, to protect them from short-sighted actions that might put people at risk, themselves, their colleagues, and potentially visitors. The definition of a guideline. Guidelines are general rules, principles, or pieces of advice. The first part of the word summarises the definition, a guide. Protocols are a system of rules that explains the correct conduct and procedures to be followed in a formal situation. It is a document that describes and details a formal agreement between the people. Protocols were largely implemented in the introduction of ABW, particularly around eating lunch at your workstation. These protocols rely on common sense and courtesy towards people's peers and other occupants within the building. During the project phase, this kit of parts provides a solid reference guide for workplace designers, project managers and other professionals to ensure that the project is delivered to the standards and meet the policies expected by the organisation. It provides less chance to deviate from the expected or required outcomes. During the business as usual phase, this document provides the framework for business leaders on how they can apply for their workplace needs to be solutioned. It also provides a tool or an education framework on why certain standards and policies exist and allows management to explain to their employees sometimes the reasons why certain workplace solutions are delivered in a particular way. The kit of parts over the last 10 years has become very extensive, and it needs to be. It would often include the organisation's intent from their workplace, the various settings for the various activities, the furniture solutions that could be provided for those different workplace settings, technology standards, collaboration tools, look and feel, the minimum requirements from building services such as lighting and air conditioning, which now post-COVID is very, very important, wayfinding, concept planning, and of course the facilities management plan and the request procedure that the business can follow, plus much more. Do not underestimate the considerations that need to be taken into account when looking to create a sustainable workplace. Unless you are an experienced CRE facilities, change or workplace strategy expert, you would not yet understand that this document creates the framework for your organisation's social distancing compliance, safe sharing of spaces and contactless storage solutions for your personal effects or team storage, plus other facilities and procedures that create a safe COVID working environment. It also provides the policies and technical standards around corporate network accessibility when working on-site or remotely, and also how to check in and check out of the workplace, even drilling down for some clients to specific workplace settings if case contact tracing needs to occur. The workplace standards, guidelines, policy and procedure documents for your organisation should also be referred to as the Workplace Bible. If you wish to discuss this further, please don't hesitate to contact me directly. But for the time being, thank you for joining us for episode 8. Please see the show notes below and leave your feedback or subscribe. The way it is, today, Tuesday, the 2nd of March, 2021. This has been the Workplace Experience Podcast, episode 8. I am Bly Williams, and thank you for joining us. The Workplace Experience Podcast has been brought to you by Workplace Services Australia. Please visit us at www.wsagroup.com.au.